everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. First podcast of 2025. We're now entering our third year, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, we're both looking forward to the podcast today. So on the podcast, we'll be discussing last weekend's English Premier League and Scottish Premier League results. We'll also give a little bit of transfer news now that the January window is open. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off, as always, with last weekend's English Premier League results. So on Saturday, the 4th of January, the results finished Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2, Bournemouth 1, Everton 0, Southampton 0, Brentford 5, Manchester City 4, West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 1, Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 2, Leicester City 1, Brighton 1, Arsenal 1. And then on Sunday, the 5th of January, we had two matches which finished Fulham 2, Ipswich 2, Liverpool 2, Man United 2. And then finally, we had one last match on Monday, the 6th of January, which finished Wolves 0, Nottingham Forest 3. So as always, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
Well, I'm going to go with the last match, and that's Wolves 0, Nottingham Forest 3. And at the current time of recording, Nottingham Forest are sitting on 40 points from 20 matches, joint second, sitting in third, just shy of Arsenal in goal difference, and only 6 points off of the top, Liverpool. So it just goes to show you the season that they've had under Nuno Espirito Santo has been nothing short of sensational, and the man they've been solid over the park defensively. And like you say, they've had the form of like Chris Wood, Gibbs White,
The front four has been amazing.
Elliot Anderson, Alanga, and then Ayena at right back as well has been sensational. He's been a revelation this season. But like you say, no, Chris Wood, the front four has been superb, and every team they've played against they've caused problems, and there's no shock to see them in that position considering the form that they've showed. But it's a shock to the system of football fans to see Nottingham Forest at the top of the table, considering they were mid-table near the bottom last season. And it just shows you that Nuno Espirito Santo was kind of called like a dinosaur coach when he was at Tottenham, even though he won like the manager of the month the first month, and then he gets sacked only like 2 months later. But when we watched his Wolves side, we know that they were well organised, and he got them at the Europe Wolves, and he got them top half finishes consistently before he got the Tottenham job. So it's no surprise to me that he's a good quality coach, and it's just going to show. And like you said, the two main men there, Gibbs White and Chris Wood, they went and score sheet the weekend as well, continuing their rich veiny form. And obviously Thomas Tuchel was in the stands potentially watching Gibbs White, because he's now a full senior nationalist for England. So everything's looking rosy for Nottingham Forest, and the form that they've been on is just sensational, to be honest. With that, it's now 6 wins on the trot.
Yeah,
which that's like Man City sort of form before.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I just want to add. Sorry, Pierre. I just want to add a bit on Forest, because I just like they're actually one of my favourite teams this season. Like, they're just such a good counter-attacking team. Like, you always talk about teams now that want to play on the front foot possession, but no, they're not like that. They're happy for the other team to have the ball. They're so organised off the ball, and then when they win it back, like, they're frightening in the counter-attack. I mean, like, you just talked about the front four. The two wide players, Hudson-Odoi and Alanga, are just they provide them with that pace. And then obviously Chris Wood is a target man up front. But we've talked about the front four, the fullback Aina, but I think it's important to mention their two centre backs, Milenkovic and Murillo. I mean, they two have been rock solid for them all season. I'm a big fan of Murillo, the Brazilian centre back from Nottingham Forest. I think he's going to go on to bigger and better things. Sorry for any Nottingham Forest fans that are watching this, but I really do. I think he's a fantastic player. That's what I just wanted to mention.
The big signing this summer as well was Matt Sells.
Yeah, goalkeeper.
Remember last season they were chopping and changing with goalkeepers. They had obviously Matt Turner, who was he was not Premier League level, to be honest. And then he had what's his name, Dean Henderson as well, who
Yeah,
he was culpable at times. So I think getting someone like you say from the French league that was experienced, Belgian internationalist, and his clean sheet record's been sensational. And like you say, Dominguez and Murillo, Will Aina, and then also Nico Williams at left back as well. The team is just, they've got a really solid spine. They work hard and
yeah,
they know what they're doing. And like you say, you mentioned Murillo. I think Milinkovic for me, big 6'5" defender, Serbian, and I've known him from his time in Fiorentina, and he's always a football manager favourite for me to sign. He's a sensational defender. But no, like you say, I think the whole team is just perfectly balanced, and
yeah.
I think they can definitely challenge for top four this season. And I don't see
Crazy.
why not they can get into the Champions League, considering the big teams around them that are not really hitting form. But it's obviously, like you say, maybe the squad depth for them. But as you know, the chairman of Nottingham Forest is the same owner that owns, I don't know his name, but he owns yeah,
Marinakis, his name.
Marianakis.
Oh, yeah,
But like you say, he's always had like a conveyor belt of talent into his team. 30
yeah.
players in, 30 players out. And I mean, it's constant, but he's found the right balance this time, and I think he's got a good manager. And I think they can potentially do it considering the teams around them. And if barring injuries and loss of form, I think they can definitely get top four this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well worth a mention, Nottingham Forest. We talked about them a lot. We've talked about them a lot in this podcast, but they just keep going strength to strength this season. And they're definitely up there for a top four shout, definitely. So well done at Nottingham Forest. My standout match from the weekend is Liverpool 2, Manchester United 2. I think it was fairly obvious to me. So before there was actually a risk of that match being called off, because of the snow. But it was eventually given the go ahead. I don't know if you saw the funny video of Jamie Carragher. He was shoveling the snow off the pitch, and Gary Neville was shoving it back on the pitch because he was that desperate to get it called off. And a lot of Man United fans before the match were like that because obviously the recent form that they're in. But after 90 minutes were finished, I think Man United fans would have been delighted because I thought they played brilliantly. They played a brilliant match. They were very well set up. Um, the two midfielders in the middle were good. Kobe Mainu and Ugarte, they were really good. Um, Dalot had a good game. But they were just really good. They really nullified Liverpool off the ball. Man United they were really well set up. Um, you know, were cutting off passing lanes for Liverpool. Um, and they were really good in the counter attack. And you know, they could have won it in the end. I don't know if you saw the chance right at the end. I think it was the last kick of the game. Xerxes passed it along the box to Harry Maguire, who had literally had an open goal, and he skinned it over the bar. I mean, what a story that would have been. But it was a brilliant game. It really was from Man United. I think Ruben Amorim was angry at the end of the match because of how good they were. Because that's obviously, I think he was angry at the fact that why can they not do this every game like that? If they were to perform like that every match, they would be absolutely fine. But we all know the problem with Man United is that they're not consistent. So that's a problem that Amorim has to sort. But they definitely can take confidence in that performance. They were brilliant, especially going to a team like Liverpool who are top of the table, going to Anfield as well, which obviously is a massive derby there. And in terms of Liverpool, it wasn't the greatest day. A lot of players went. Trent Alexander Arnold had a stinker, to be fair. He was at fault for the first goal, gave the ball away. Slightly at fault for the second goal. He was out of position. They just didn't really get going. I think Liverpool fans were a bit too cocky going into the match. I think they thought that this was just going to be easy. They think they were just going to turn up and they'll win the game 3, 4 goals, and it was never going to be like that. So I think there was a little bit of complacency there from Liverpool. I think the atmosphere was a bit odd as well. Um, but wasn't the greatest game, but they didn't lose at the end of the day. They still managed to get a point. which means that they are still obviously top of the table. But it was a brilliant match. It really was. Two teams that were both going at it right at the end as well, wanting to win it. So I really enjoyed it. It was definitely my standout match from the weekend. But sticking on Liverpool, big news around Liverpool at the moment. There's obviously a lot of talk with the contract situations between Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent Alexander Arnold. Alexander Arnold, he's more in the spotlight at the moment because there now seems to be a lot of talk about Trent going to Real Madrid. So obviously now January's not open. Trent's got 6 months left in his deal. He can now talk to other clubs. The news is at the moment that Real Madrid are talking to him now about potentially joining in the summer. There was a reported bid. Definitely there was a reported bid. Sorry, Pearse, just tapping the badge there. There was a reported bid. I think just before the Man United game. I mean, I think it was a very low offer. It was only like 20, 30 million. Liverpool obviously rejected it, which was no surprise. But I just want your thoughts on what you think about this situation, Pearse. Do you think Trent will go to Real Madrid? Because obviously it's a big topical point at the moment.
I think he will. I think the lure of Real Madrid, arguably the greatest side, European side, won the most Champions Leagues, and they've just got a history of that competition. And they're always at the tail end of competitions. And like you say, they're not getting the money and the finances that the Premier League have. But look at the squad that they've got. It's young, it's talented. They got Mbappe in a free. They got Tchouameni for a decent price. They got Camavinga for a decent price. They got Rudiger for free from Chelsea not so long ago. So Real Madrid don't have the money to spend on transfer fees to compete with the Premier League. But what they do have is a rich history. And they do have a very strong squad. And I think Danny Carvajal has got a massive injury at the moment, done his cruciate, same as Rodri, he's out for the season. And the backup was only Lucas Vazquez. And Lucas Vazquez is a squad rotation player. He's a winger turned fullback. And this season, he's done commendable, but against the bigger opposition, he's been found out. And it's become a very big issue. And I think someone like a Trent Alexander-Arnold, who they've been keeping an eye on. And I think, obviously, maybe Jude Bellingham's maybe had a part to play as well, seeing the success he's had since he's been there. Maybe he's saying, come to Madrid, the lifestyle's amazing, the team, the history, and maybe Real Madrid, he'll be taught how to actually defend properly. Because if you go to Real Madrid and you're asked to play fullback, you're going to be attacking a lot, but you also have to do the dirty side and defend well. And I think that's what Trent Alexander-Arnold probably hasn't had to do under Klopp and probably Slot at the moment in time. But so he's probably had that free roam just to do what he wants because, as we know, Trent Alexander-Arnold, his passing range and his set pieces is just, it's out of this world. It's kind of like Gerrard/David Beckham-esque, like in terms of his deliveries and the whippage on it. I wouldn't say it's that level, but it's certainly up there for a fullback anyway. So I think Real Madrid are looking at that asset in terms of that. And the fact is they can offer him a lot of wages, but they can't obviously pay. Getting him in a free, I think they offered, like you said, they offered a very low offer, but I think considering 6 months left, I think it's a pretty reasonable offer. Although Liverpool are looking to potentially win the Champions League and the league, and they need all the players they can have, and I think losing him at this stage would be monumental. But I do see him going in the summer for free to Real Madrid. It's not if he goes to Real Madrid, it's when.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I've always just like to me, he just kind of looks like a Real Madrid player. Like I don't know why, but like he has that kind of arrogance about him. You know, not in a good way. I mean, like he's kind of like when he's on the pitch, like he's kind of got that kind of way. Is like he thinks from a right back he can control the game. You know, he's got that personality. He said a month or so ago that his dream was to win the Ballon d'Or as a right back. He wants to be the first right back to win the Ballon d'Or. Now we all know that Ballon d'Or winners mainly only go to Real Madrid or Barcelona players. So I think that could be in his mind as well. And the fact that he's in his last 6 months, the lure of Real Madrid, I just think will be a bit too much for him. But because when you think about it as well, at Liverpool, when you look at Liverpool career, he's kind of won it all. He's won the Premier League, he's won the Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup. He's had an absolute brilliant Liverpool career. He really has. Now, Liverpool fans, their argument is, losing him on a free, which they find really difficult to understand. But he did come. I mean, he was free anyway. He came through the system. So we're not going to lose any money. They think like, their team, they're in a really good position at the moment. They've got a good manager. They look at him as a future captain. So why would they want to leave? Which I can understand from a Liverpool point of view, but I just think with Alexander Arnold, I think Gary Neville said it like at the weekend. He kind of looks like a player that likes to try, that wants to try different things in his career. I think Jude Bellingham's going to be a big factor because I think we all know that they two are quite close. So I think it's pretty obvious that Jude Bellingham's been in his ear about joining Real Madrid. And at the end of the day, Real Madrid, they're the biggest club in the world, and they always do kind of get what they want. They're an absolute beast of a club. Like, usually when Real Madrid come knocking, well, not usually, when Real Madrid come knocking, they always get what they want. And they're really smart as well. Real Madrid, they always wait. They're always really smart, and they look at the contract situations. And
Unlike a
that's
certain
when they
club
get.
across the road.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, well, that's a whole different subject, uh, but no, but just a bit they are look at Mbappe, they waited until he was a free agent. They got him. Obviously, and they're doing the same with Trent here. They just seem to be really smart. Rudiger, I think he was a free transfer.
David Alaba.
David Alaba was a free transfer. They're just really smart in their transfer. They don't spend crazy money in the transfer window anymore. The days are gone now for them.
Well,
I think
the exception was Jude Bellingham.
well, yeah, but I can't remember apart from that. Vinicius wasn't much money. Rodrigo wasn't as well. So they're really smart in the transfer window. They do really smart work. And I just think with the fact that Trent's come running down, I can just see, I can visualize him at Real Madrid. I don't know why, I just can. And obviously the right back positions, Carvajal's obviously injured, but he is getting to an age now where he has come to the end of his career. So I just see, I can see it happening, and if it does happen, man, I mean that Real Madrid team, wow, that's something that is some beast of a team. Um, so yeah, so in my opinion, we both agree there that I think we do think that Alexander Arnold will go to Real Madrid in the summer. So we'll now move on to the Scottish Premier League results from the weekend. So on Sunday, the 5th of January, it was a full card of Scottish Premier League matches. So the matches finished Hibs 3, Rangers 3, Motherwell 2, Aberdeen 0, Celtic 3, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 0, Hearts 1, Kilmarnock 0, Ross County 1, St Johnstone 1, Dundee 3. So before we go on to talk about these matches on Sunday, I think it's important to discuss the two derbies which were played on Thursday, the 2nd of January, which was a few days ago, because obviously we've not been on the podcast since then, so we haven't had a chance to discuss it. So we'll probably talk about the derby, the Glasgow derby, from last week, which finished Rangers 3, Celtic 0. We haven't had a chance to discuss it on the podcast. So, Pearse, what was your thoughts?
Well, I think like most football fans, Scottish football fans, and I don't think anyone ever saw this result coming. Considering the form that Celtic have been on, unbeaten all season. Rangers in the back of that week, they drew to St Mirren and they lost as well. So they only picked up a point the previous week leading into this game. And Celtic were scoring goals for fun, hadn't conceded in a very long time in the league. So in Celtic into the game before the game, only conceded 4 league goals all season, and they conceded 3 in one game, and they don't score. Rangers are 20, I think 22 shots. Celtic had 4, and that just speaks volumes of the game. And to be honest, Rangers were excellent. The pressing, um, it was very similar to the cup final, but this time Celtic didn't have an answer to it. Celtic couldn't break Rangers down. And I thought Rangers deserved the result and more. I think the scoreline probably flattered Celtic because I thought Celtic were absolutely woeful all over the park. There was no fight, there was no hunger. The Rangers were the first to second balls, and Rangers anytime they went forward, they looked as if they were going to score. And that was very. It's not what we've seen this season, but credit to them. I thought they were superb and they thoroughly deserved a victory. And maybe it was a wake up call for Celtic in terms of the, like you say, you mentioned it in the Liverpool Man United. Maybe they thought they were too confident. They thought it was already done the league in terms of 14 points clear at the start of the game. And then I don't think they really got going. And I think that's kind of maybe the story of the game. Rangers were really up for it. Clement was fighting for his job and they put out a superb performance. And Celtic just were toothless.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. It was a case of Celtic were very poor. They didn't turn up at all. Didn't really look. They didn't look up for it at all. Many players were off form that day. The likes of Rio Hatate, Liam Scales, Kyogo. Just the whole team just from Celtic were they weren't at the races. And it was a surprise because I think everybody expected Celtic to go there comfortably and win. And I think that was their downfall. That I think they kind of went into that and they kind of got into their minds as well. The fact that the lead at the top of the table, the fact that they just thought the form that Rangers were going into, the form that Rangers were on going into the match wasn't great. So I think they just kind of thought they'd turn up, and if they played at least a little bit okay, that they would get what they wanted. But definitely wasn't like that. From Celtic, very disappointing and bad display from them. And whereas you flip it to Rangers, they were brilliant on the day, thoroughly deserved the win. Um, I actually think Rangers are better when the other team have the ball and they sort of counter attack on teams, because the whole day they let Celtic have the ball. They just waited, and then they would just hunt them down. Like for example, when one of the centre backs in Celtic had the ball, they were waiting for one of them to pass it into the midfield, and then bang, they would be right on the players like McGregor, Hatate, and like the Rangers midfield, like Diamande and Raskin were just jumping on top of it and winning the ball back, and then hitting on Rangers Celtic on the counter attack, and he did it really well all game. And that was the reason that they won. They were just right at it from minute one. They seem to have got something going there and kind of going in the forward positions. The likes of Igaman, Hadji, who's come back into the team, Tierney, who's a big threat for them on the right hand side. So, very good performance from Rangers, and they fully deserved the 3 points. Which I think to everyone it was a surprise. I don't think anyone expected that. And then the Dundee Derby, which finished 2-1 to Dundee United. So what's your thoughts on that, Pearse?
Again, watching back the match, I thought it was very end to end. I think probably the first half Dundee edged it. They took the lead, and then second half I think Dundee United kind of peppered them a bit, and they got a dramatic late win through Dalby, who has been a revelation since signing on loan from Wrexham. I think the big man just seems to be at the right place at the right time, and he's really been a prolific goal scorer for him, and he's one of the reasons why Dundee United are having such a good season. As a team, they're really good defensively, and they're just a threat going forward. And like you said, they're in fourth position for a reason. Like the form that John Goodwin's got them in is tremendous, and like I say, I think Dundee are still a great side. I thought they played really nice football as well, and it was just a really great match to watch, end to end, and just two really good sides wanting to win the match. And yeah, for me, I thought it was a brilliant advert for Scottish football.
Yeah, I agree. A massive win for Dundee United to win in the last few minutes of the game. Sam Dalby, as you said, was having a really good season for them on loan from Wrexham. Um, Very good derby. I've always enjoyed the Dundee derby as well. I think it's one of the best derbies. And Dundee United, brilliant win for them. It meant that their start to the season, the good start to the season, kept going. And obviously Dundee would be that really disappointed the fact that they lost in the last minute of the game, especially when they're at home as well. But massive win for Dundee United that. And yeah, congratulations to them on the day. So we'll now move on. So we'll just talk in there. So we talked about the two derbies. So we'll switch back to the weekend results just there on Sunday. So from there, Pearse, which match stood out to you the most?
I'm probably going to go with the match in Edinburgh, which was Hibernian 3, Rangers 3. Again, similar to the the Glasgow derby, I thought Rangers started really well. First 20 minutes, they were 2-0 up through two brilliant goals from Igamani. And then I don't know what it seems to be with Rangers away from home. They seem to just be vulnerable, especially against big physical sides, which, like you say, most Scottish sides outside of the top two have got very big physical players and play for set pieces, long balls, sit in. And Rangers don't seem to cope with the physicality. And I think they were 2-0 up, and I think they thought the game was done, and it retreated 5-10 yards and allowed Hibs to take it back into the game. And they managed to get it back to 2-2. Martin Boyle with a double, who he always seems to love scoring his Rangers. I don't know if he's maybe one of his favourite clubs to score against, but he always seems to score against Rangers. And then Agamani gets his hat trick, which the perfect hat trick as well. I thought he was outstanding on the day, single-handedly carrying Rangers to any sort of positive result. And then right at the end, Rocky Bashiri equalises, and then Agamani robs Rocky Bashiri, who himself I thought he'd a kind of crazy Rocky Bashiri afternoon. He was horrible defensively, but he scored a late equaliser. But Agamani could have won the game right at the end. But I thought the game was a terrific game. But I thought Rangers, once you go 2-0, you should be able to push on and see the game out. But I think maybe it's a mentality thing away from home that they think, like you say, they struggle to break teams down that are like defensive minded. I think, like you mentioned, they're better. I think like European sides, like in terms of teams that have a lot of possession and they're really good to spring the counter attacks. But I thought Agamani was a standout for Rangers, and Martin Boyle kind of carried Hibs as well. So I thought a draw was a fair result in the end, but after that terrific result Thursday, it was an opportunity missed for Rangers considering the start they made to the game.
Yeah, it was a brilliant game actually. I agree with everything you said there. Rangers started the game well, brilliantly, and then Hibs obviously got that goal before half time. And I agree with you. It's just Rangers in a way form. They're just not consistent at all. The penalty was controversial, I must say. I wasn't sure. I'm still not sure if it was a penalty or not. I understand both sides,
For me,
but it
it's a
was
penalty.
given. And then Hibs obviously scored for you boys for use a penalty. I'm kind of 50-50 with it. I see why he's given it, but then I thought it was I thought it was soft. But at the end of the day, Hibs did score it, and they easily could have won it. I I thought, yeah, I've got to give a shout out to Igaman. Hamza Igaman's Rangers striker. I mean, he could have scored 5 or 6 on Sunday. I thought he was brilliant. I think he gave Rocky Pashiri nightmares. He was just so lively. You know, he works so hard for Rangers. I really think Rangers have found a gem there. He seems to be a really good player for them. And I think they've finally found that talisman up front. First hat trick as well in Scotland. Fully deserved, and he could have scored even more. Um, but for Rangers, after that result, really disappointing for them to drop points. Um, and the fact Celtic won 3-0 at the weekend, you know, that gap kind of gets extended again. So for Rangers this season, it's all about consistency with them. That's a big problem. But what a game it was. It was a good argument for Scottish football as well. So, obviously, just talked about Hibs Rangers there. So, I just want to ask you as well, Pearse. So, there was a bit of a strange situation. So, after Celtic's 3-0 victory on Sunday, after the game, Brendan Rodgers he didn't look himself. He looked a bit angry and disappointed. There was a couple of reasons for that. So, number one, obviously there's been links with Kieran Tierney coming back to Celtic this January. And like on Sunday in the game, like the Celtic fans were chanting Kieran Tierney's name. And at the end of the match, the left back Greg Taylor, who's got a contract situation at the moment with Celtic, he just went straight down the tunnel. And then after the game, Ben Rodgers said it was disrespectful. He didn't like it at all. That was the situation. And then there was another thing as well. He mentioned at the end of the game where he was disappointed with and angry and frustrated at the fact that Celtic fans were getting frustrated with the fact that the Celtic players were passing it back to me, and instead of going forward with the ball. So it was a bit of a situation there, Pearse. I just wanted your thoughts on it.
In terms of the fans saying Kieran Tierney, I think obviously let's touch on Kieran Tierney first. I think Kieran Tierney back to Celtic is a no-brainer. I think it's going to be done similar to Trent when, if it's not if it's going to happen, because I think he's turned down a number of Premier League clubs to come back to Celtic on reduced wages. And I think if Celtic can get him fully fit, he'll be a massive asset for them. And we all know that Kieran Tierney was here the first time around. He was sensational. And arguably at the time, I thought he was better left back than Andy Robertson. But I think when he went to Arsenal, he didn't really kick on the way I thought he would. And injuries and stuff like that hampered his progress as well. But as you know, for Scotland as well, he's a sensational player, can play left side of a three and obviously a fullback and bombing down that wing. But I think in terms of singing, the fans, Celtic fans singing the song, I don't have an issue with that. I think like fans are entitled to sing a song. It's not as if they're doing anything wrong. In terms of Greg Taylor, he has got a contract situation which hasn't been resolved, which is surprising from both the player and the club, because I think he's been a fantastic servant to Celtic. And I think in an ideal world, I think Celtic would like to keep him, because you're still going to need another left back, because I think I'm pretty sure Bernabe's been let go now, and also Valle is only on loan. So if you get Tierney, that's only one left back. You do need two left backs for an entire season. Whether that rotation, like you say, Tierney's injury record as well, you'll need rotation, and there's a lot of games at Celtic in terms of Europe, domestic and in the cup competitions. So in terms, I don't think it's really disrespectful towards Greg Taylor. I think Brendan Rodgers has just got a hump and he's blown it way out of proportion, in my opinion. And in terms of the fans getting on the back at the club for passing the ball back in the first half, you can see the frustration. Like, I think that's based on the back of the performance against Rangers on the 2nd of January. Well, like you say, it was woeful. And Celtic had the possession, but they didn't do anything with it. It was too slow, cumbersome, and they were just wasteful. And like you say, you're looking for a reaction. So I think the fans are entitled to groan at their frustration at the team not passing the ball quickly enough and going and basically wiping away that hurt and anger that they got from the previous match and get up a win and a good performance. But I think Rodgers maybe just woke up with the wrong side of the bed, and he's took out the fans, which I think he's took it a wee bit out of proportion. Because I think he's made an ant of a molehill, because you should really be talking about the performance and the result that they got the weekend, considering the performance they showed against Rangers. It was a good bounce back in terms of getting a routine win and a clean sheet. So, but obviously has to make it all about himself. Typical Brendan Rodgers, he's that arrogant as a manager. He's thrown that down previous years at Leicester and Liverpool in terms of, I've got a Gucci belt and all that. That's the type of manager he is. But top quality manager, but he can be a bit full of himself sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a weird situation. I didn't really expect I thought he'd be happy with the fact that they've kind of, after that disappointing Rangers defeat from Celtic, that they'd be happy that they've kind of bounced back, got a 3-0 victory, and he'd be happy about it. But he just wasn't. Like, he just came after the game and he just really wasn't happy at all. Um, and for what you said about Kieran Tierney returning to Celtic, I do think it will happen as well. So obviously he's leaving Arsenal, and like you said, there has been reports he has rejected other clubs and he wants to come back to Celtic. So I do see that happening. Um, and with the likes of Greg Taylor, which in my opinion, I think it does look like he is leaving. I don't think he is going to stay. You've got Bernabei, who was a Celtic left back. He's on loan. He's leaving permanently. And Alex Valle, who's on loan from Barcelona, but I don't think he'll stay. I don't think he'll be back next season. So it does look like Kieran Tierney will return to Celtic as left back. I do see that happening. He is a brilliant left back. The only worry with Kieran Tierney is injuries. Is he going to come back to Celtic the same player? We don't know. But he is injured. He is hampered with injuries quite a lot. He's a very injury-prone player, so that could be a concern. But it'd be a brilliant signing if he did come back. In terms of the Celtic fans chanting his name, and Brendan Rodgers calling it disrespectful, I do know. I understand where he's come from. I think he's just taken it the wrong way. I don't think it was anything to do with the fact that they're chanting his name because they went with Greg Taylor. Like, I think that's the way Rodgers thinks he's. I think that's what he's thinking, and it's nothing to do with that. I just think because Kieran Tierney's he's come through Celtic, he's a Celtic fan. I just think the excitement of it. Obviously, the news broke this week. I just think the Celtic fans were just, kind of singing a song for one of their own, basically. And for Greg Taylor, kind of, I think it also got to him because he stormed down the tunnel after the game. I think, you know, I understand why he was disappointed, Greg Taylor. But I don't think it was anything to do with the fact that the Celtic fans don't like him, because I think he is very well liked within the Celtic fan base. I think he's done. I think he's been brilliant for Celtic. He's done a really good job at left back. He's won a lot of trophies. Under Postecoglou, he was brilliant. He was one of Postecoglou's most crucial players.
But let's be
So
honest, Tom, he's not at level of Kieran Tierney.
no, yeah, you could say that. I think Kieran Tierney is the better. He is probably a better left back, but that's not to say Greg Taylor's not a good left back. I think he is a good left back. I think he is good. I think he's actually got better. I think he's better technically than Kieran Tierney, but I think Kieran Tierney does offer more. But with Greg Taylor, but at the end of the day, I do think he will leave anyway. I think there's a lot of talk with Dinamo Zagreb. And the fact is, in his last 6 months, there's no real talk. I do think he will leave. But Brendan Rodgers getting angry about it, I don't really. I think he's just taking it He's just taking it the wrong way. I don't think it was anything to do with that. And then with the fact that he was booing, the fact he was getting frustrated as well with the fans booing with the team going back to me with the ball. He actually has complained about that before. Like, there's been a lot of times I've heard him, not just at Celtic, Leicester, Liverpool. He didn't like it when fans boo when the team are going back away with the ball. I don't know. It seems to be such a sensitive subject with him. So I don't really get. So he was frustrated about that, but I don't really get. I don't really understand. I don't really know why he was that angry and frustrated. But I felt it was just worth mentioning. By the end of the day, Celtic did win that match 3-0. They bounced back from that Rangers defeat. And then just a couple of matches to I just want to quickly mention St Johnstone. They're in big trouble. Lost 3-1 on Sunday. Their points, quite a big points adrift at the bottom of the table. So it's not looking good for them. And then I just wanted to mention quickly Aberdeen. They lost 2-0 to Motherwell. I mean, the collapse from them has been extraordinary. Me and you, not weeks ago, we're talking about could they win the title? They were that good. That was an amazing start of the season, and I have no idea what's happened. They've just totally fallen off a cliff. Losing, I don't know the losing streak they're on. I think that's 5 losses in a row. Could even be more than that now.
Tom, not won one game in a row. the last time they won was in November, start of November against Dundee, and that was right after they get beat 6-0 in the cup against
Yeah.
Celtic.
It's just gone totally wrong for them. And I'm actually disappointed as well because I really thought that they were going to be right up there this season, but it's just not turned out to be like that.
They're the Scottish Man City.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but
in terms of form, because
in terms of form,
like
maybe.
I don't because like you said, they set a standard at the start of the season.
Yeah.
They went to Parkhead, got a draw. They went to Ibrox, they got a positive result, and then after that they just went down.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happened. They've just totally fallen off a cliff. I mean, they're still in a good position. I mean, they're third in the table. I think they're third in the table. They're third or fourth in the
Now
table.
dropped to fourth in goal difference behind Dundee.
Yeah,
But like you say, they were clear.
but they can still kind of get back on a run and still have a good. They can still have a good, successful end to the season. There's still a lot of season to go, but they need to get out of this quickly because they're just falling badly.
I think they need recruitment.
Yeah, I think they have seen a couple of players the last couple of days, so they definitely need something sorted there. But I just thought it was worth mentioning that. So yeah, that's obviously the Scottish Premier League up to date. And for the last part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so obviously we're in the off season of in Asian football at the moment in terms of Japan and Korea. But we still have some football news to give you. And that is obviously Jeju United have officially announced that they've changed their club name from Jeju United to Jeju SKFC, which SK is a telecommunications company in Korea, one of the biggest. So the new club logo has now been unveiled. So Indonesia have sacked South Korean coach Shin Tae-Young with immediate effect. Eric Thohir, Indonesia's chairman, explains why they've parted ways with Shin Tae-Young. We see the need for a leader who can better implement the strategies agreed upon by the players. And we're going to touch on some notable transfers both in the G League and the K Leagues. So firstly, we'll touch on notable transfers in the G League 1. So Mate Savio has transferred from Casio Racel to Ura Diamonds. Brian Linson has transferred from Ura Diamonds to NEC Nijmegen. And Daniel Schmidt is signed from KA Gent in Belgium to Nagoya Grampus, replacing the outgoing legend that was Mitch Langerak. And obviously, undisclosed fee for Mate Savio to Ura Diamonds. I think that was a massive coup for them, as he was named in the J League 1 Best 11 in 2024 last season. So, yeah, phenomenal bit of business there from Ura Diamonds as they look to have a better start to the season than they did last year. So now, in terms of transfers in the K League 1 and the K League 2, Stanislav Ilychenko, the Russian centre forward, has left FC Seoul and he's transferred to Suwon Samsung Blue Wings in the K2. Hwang Mun-Ki has left Gangwon FC to go to Pyeongchang United, as he'll leave the team to fulfil his military service as a public service worker. He's set to join Pyeongchang United on loan, and he's also a current South Korean internationalist as well. So that's a big blow for Gangwon, but obviously military service is compulsory in Korea, so he's chosen to do it at this time. And Jo Min-kyo has left Ulsan HD. Not 2023 he was the top goal scorer and he was named in the best 11, but last year he had a poor season for Ulsan, and he's now transferred to Daejeon Hana Citizen. Then Ulsan have quickly replaced him with Ho Yo from Gwangju FC and Lee Hyo-gyun from Gwangju FC also. And also Daegu FC have signed 19-year-old winger Isaac Osei, who was born in Ghana. Since moving to South Korea at the age of 5, he is now qualified as a homegrown player and is regarded as a domestic player. And that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this first episode of 2025 of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.